शङ्करं विदिताखिलशास्त्र सुधाजलधे महितोपनिषत् कथितार्धनिधे हृदये कलये विमलं चरणं भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणं भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणं भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणं. Good afternoon to all. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to this monthly study circle named Sri Shankara Study Circle, organized by the International School for Sri Shankara Studies. Last month, Professor Sachidanand Mishra read for us the third sutra, Shastra Yonitvad, with Shankara Bhashya. I remember extensive discussions have taken place on whether the alternative readings permitted by Acharya can be accepted, a discussion initiated by Professor Arindam that eventually led to the recognition of the loopholes in the very connotation of sutra. Alpaksharam, Asandigdham and Vishadomukha. How can we have the Asandigdhada and the Vishadomukha together in the definition of sutra? It was a beautiful discussion. I still remember, I'm sure all of you would have enjoyed. Friends, in continuation, we are today taking up the fourth sutra, Tattu Samanvayādh, with this difference that this evening we are going to have a Dvaita reading of the text. As you all know, here the Sutrakara extends the argument from the third to the fourth that Brahman is the sum and substance of all the scriptures. The argument that is getting extended from the third to the fourth. Now, while Shankara takes up elaborate discussion on this sutra in his Bhashya, in fact, trying to establish the very foundation of Advaita Vedanta through his interpretation of this sutra, Madhva is very, very brief. He just cites the Shadlingas used for Tatparya Nirnaya of a text, referred in the Brihat Samhita, as all of you know, Upakramo Upasamharo Abhyasa Purvada Bhalam Ardhavado Babati cha Lingam Tatparya Nirnaye. So he argues that using these tools, one can determine that Brahman alone is the Tatparya of the scriptures. Now, to strengthen his arguments, he also quotes the scriptural statements, like, he quotes various scriptures wherein he says the texts which say that my worship is your esteemed duty, and also the text which says Indra and all other names are nothing but my own appellations, and also when it is said all prescriptive and prohibitive texts point towards me. All these scriptural texts have been cited, and I also wish to cite the Gita shloka in Rajavidya Rajaguhya Yoga, the 9th chapter, wherein it is said, Pidahavasya jagato mada dhata pitamaha vedyam pavitram onkara rig sama ejurevacha. So aham has been shifted to the third and the fourth pada. Aham pavitram onkaraha vedyam and ahameva rig sama ejuhucha. So this kind of scriptural assertions are being cited by the Dvaita scholars, profusely citing from Shruti and as well as Puranas. You all know that Dvaita scholars particularly, they cite lavishly from Puranas and the Smriti literature, particularly texts like Bhagavata, They try to establish that Brahman alone is the Tatparya of the scripture. We have an eminent Dvaita scholar, Professor Srinivasa Varakhedi, with us to read the text, the sutra, and its Dvaita interpretation. Professor Varakhedi knows no introduction, particularly from a person like me. When I met him years before, he was a professor. Then subsequently, he became a vice chancellor of Kalidas Samman University in Maharashtra, and now he has been elevated to the vice chancellor post of the esteemed Central University at New Delhi. In fact, he is a private pride of the whole of the South Indians, Dakshinatyaha, and we are happy that the South Indian scholarship, the flag of the South Indian scholarship, fly high in the Red Fort. Do I sound divisive? I don't mean that, but nevertheless, it is all out of the happiness and the pride that makes me that make me say thus. I hope I wasn't bothering him. I realized that he is, in the shifting mood, and then probably a scholarly exercise like this would have bothered him. And I also learned that he was traveling, but nevertheless, he was extremely kind to agree to this scholarly exercise. And I'm sure with the blessings of Bhagavan Madhva, he'll be able to do justice to both the Vidvatva and the Nripatva. They are on the two sides. And academic administration, you all know, it's a different kind of exercise altogether. And we are all extremely happy that a scholar like Professor Varakhedi is at the helm of the affairs to give leadership to an important institution like Central University of Sanskrit. Professor Bhatt is the person who would have chaired this session, an amazing scholar. I don't know. Recently, he has sent me his work on Tantra Yukti, and I was telling my scholars that you should learn from him the dynamism, the energy, and the commitment to the discipline is something marvelous. And I feel honored to have lived with, have known with, have heard, and have traveled and have had scholarly exercises with such great and eminent professors like Professor Esab Bhatt. I extend a very warm welcome to both Professor Varakhedi and Professor Esab Bhatt to this session of text reading. And we also have eminent professors with us like Professor Sachidananda Mishra, Professor Lakshmikant Apati, and several others whom I might have, I got to know them, that they are here because we were running a conversation as Professor Varakhedi was joining us. I'm sure there are several others who have joined us. On behalf of International School of Sri Shankaracharya Studies, I'm extremely glad that you all have joined us. This is, a purely scholarly exercise, and I must tell you that of all the academic activities that the university and the school is undertaking, I deem it most important and most essential. This is a Guru Runa that we owe to our preceptors, and I'm glad that Acharya Shankara has permitted me to undertake this very, very significant task. And once again, on behalf of the school, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you, and then invite Professor Esab Bhatt, the chairman, to speak a few words before we invite Professor Varakhedi to read the text for us. Over to Professor Bhatt.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Shrikala. I deem it a pleasure, a privilege, and feel pride in participating in this webinar, wherein a doyen of Indologists, an erudite scholar and a versatile genius, Professor Srinivasa Varakhedi, is to speak on Tattu Samanvayat. In fact, the first four sutras of Vedanta Sutra, known as Chatussutri, constitute the foundation of the entire Vedic Vedantic thought. And among the first four sutras, there is a logical continuity that needs to be highlighted. The succession among these four is something which is noteworthy. The Pratigya Sutra of the Brahma Sutra is Athato Brahma Jigyasa. And therefore, that is not only the starting point, but also the culmination of the Vedantic thought. This Chatussutri, and in fact the entire corpus of Vedanta Sutra has been interpreted differently by different acharyas, though there is common thread also underlying, but there are some vital differences. As the Rigvedic Rishi long back said, Ekam sati praha bahuda vadanti, bahuda kalpayanti, bahuda vadanti. And therefore there can be varied approaches based on one's own intuitive realization to understand and expound the Vedanta Sutras. As I said, the Pratigya Vak Sutra is to know about Brahman, which is the ultimate reality. And in order to know Brahman, both its nature and its status as reality, as some sort of, can say, argumentation, some sort of justification has to be provided to convince us that Brahman is the ultimate reality of a particular nature. And for that, among the various, you can say, averments in the Shastras, in the Upanishads, the most significant is Janmadhyasya Yataha. Yato va imani bhutani jayante, etc., etc. Tad This is the cryptic statement of the Chandogya Upanishad. And this justification for the quest after Brahman and realization of Brahman, to have the Brahma Bhava within us, well, we have to depend upon the Shastra. And therefore, one of the interpretations of this justification is Shastra Yonitvat. Of course, Shankaracharya has his own understanding. He has given two different variant expositions of Shastra Yonitvat. Other thinkers also have given their own say viewpoints. This Shastra Yonitvat succeeds Tattu Samanvayat. This Tattu Samanvayat has two objectives. One is to reconcile variant Shastric injunctions and thereby establish the ultimate reality of Brahman as something which is Satchitananda Rupa. This sort of understanding of Brahman is one of the objectives to expound the different Shruti materials. And the second objective is to provide a methodology. For me, this is more important. The methodology of understanding the variant Shastric injunctions. Of course, I shall be referring to Sri Bhashya of Ramanuja, because that was my doctoral work on Ramanuja. Long back in 1965, I wrote my thesis on Ramanuja's Vedanta, and I had the good fortune of studying under Mahamohopadhyay Dhaniram Shastri in Vrindavan. I was a research fellow there, and I studied Sri Bhashya, which he names as Sharirik Bhashya. He has brought out the edition wherein instead of Sri Bhashya, he uses the term Sharirik Bhashya. So he was my guru, under whom I studied Sri Bhashya. According to Ramanuja, and let me just go through the text. He says that tatra pratipadyate tattu samanvayat. This is his Siddhanta Paksha. Before that, he has discussed the Puru Pakshas of different varieties. I did not go into that for want of time. And he says that what is the nature of Brahman? And he says that anavadhika atishaya ananda swarupa. This is nature of Brahman. Ananda swarupa. And that's why subsequently we have a sutra under Anandadhikaraṇa also. Anyway, the real is a consciousness, and that consciousness has a bliss, Ananda, as its essence. So is this is what the producer also pointed out. So he points out, he says that though Tattva refers to different, this is my understanding, Tattva refers to different variant Shastric injunctions. Of course, the most important is Yato Vaibani Bhutani Jayante, etc. But we have various other accounts also of Brahma, Satchidananda Brahma, Satyam Janam, Brahma, and we have Tattvamasi, we have Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma, and so on and so forth. So different statements are there. And all these need not confuse us. They are not contradictory. They are complementary. And therefore, that refers to those variant Shastric injunctions to this verily, in fact. They are to be understood with the help of the methodology of Samanvaya. In fact, this methodology of Samanvaya has been the keynote of Indian culture, very guiding principle, overriding principle of Indian culture. Always our thinkers have taught us, our rishis have taught us that things are to be understood in the spirit of coordination, Samanvaya. Ramanuja defines Samanvaya as a Samyak Anvaya, Purusharthataya Anvaya iti Artha. It is Samyak Anvaya, proper coordinating enterprise. Coordination, not conflict. And it is to be understood by Purusha. Therefore, it is a Purusharthataya. It is a matter of a Purusharth. It is a human enterprise. But which human? One who is a Purusha. And by Purusha we mean a person who has a ratiocinative, judicious discrimination, Viveka Buddhi, and through that we have to approach the Shastra. So, Ramanuja says that through Purushartha we undertake Samanvaya, and this Samanvaya results in Parama Purushartha Bhutasya Anavadhika Atishaya Ananda Swarupasya Brahmano Abhideyataya Anvayat Tattva Shastra Pramanakatvam Siddhyati Eva iti Artha. So this is how we understand the gist of Tattu Samanvayat. The nature of Brahman is, as expounded by Ramanuja, is Nirasta Nikhila Dosha Atishaya Ananda Swarupataya Param Prapyam Brahma Bodhayan Vedanta Vakya Ganaha Pravritti Nivritti Vartau Ihat Pariyojana Paryavasati iti. So this is the purpose. This is the ultimate purpose of human enterprise, to reject all evil qualities in the ultimate reality and to propound all auspicious qualities. And therefore, the first objective is to know about the nature of Brahman, and we know it through Shastras. Shastra is, of course, our what can be called as Iksha. Iksha, Tadekshata. This Iksha is, in fact, intuitive apprehension of the nature of reality as it is. So this is known as Iksha. And only after Iksha, as Vasan pointed out in his commentary on the first sutra of Gautama, he said, Anviksha follows Iksha. So we begin with the Iksha, and that Iksha gets codified in the Shastras. The Iksha, the Anubhuti, Parakshanubhuti gets codified in the Shastras. So, Shruti, or we can say Shastra. And to understand this Shastra, you must have a particular mindset. That particular mindset is technically known as Samanvayādhikaraṇa. Ramanuja heavily draws upon this grammatical principle of Samanvayādhikaraṇa. I understand it like this. Vibhinna pravritti nimittanam shabdanam vakyanam va ekasmin arthe Samprayoga, Samaharascha. This is my understanding. I might be wrong. The Sanskrit scholars may correct me, but this is what I mean, and I understand by this principle of coordination, the Samana Adhikarana. Vivinna pravatti nimittanam shabdanam, vakyanam. It is just like, to use Western terminology, they may have different senses, but the referent is the same. I refer to Frege, the Western thinkers, this morning star, evening star position that is expounded there. So, Vibhinna Pravritti Nimittanam. There can be different, I can say, prayojanas. There can be different standpoints. And those standpoints, that means perspectives. This is perspectival approach. There can be different perspectives, and those perspectives give rise to some utterances, which may be in the form of a shabda or a vakya, and but they all refer, kasmin arthe, they refer to the one and the same referent. Senses are different, meanings are different, but the referent is the same. So, Samanvayādhikaraṇa. Adhikarana is the samana, the same adhikarana, and therefore prayogas might be different, but those prayogas need to be reconciled. Some prayoga should be there, and in our tradition we had, vade jayate tattva bodha. So we always talked of vada or samvada and never vivada, and therefore it should be some prayoga. The some prefix is highly significant, and then they must culminate in the same meaning, samaharascha. So this is how Ramanuja has interpreted and understood Tattu Samanvayata. I give you, well, there are many, my book on Ramanuja, Studies in Ramanuja Vedanta, which was published in 1970. Of course, now it is out of date. Therein I have given different usages of this methodology of Samanvayādhikaraṇa by Ramanuja. One example I give, because that example has controversy with the Madhva. This is Tattvam Asi. I think the Madhva viewpoint Professor Varakhedi will refer to. He is a Tattvam Asi. But Ramanuja says it Tattvam Asi, and Tat has one meaning, Tvam has another meaning. There are two different words, and we use them with the Vivinna Pravritti because of different pravrittis, but they refer to the same ultimate reality, namely Brahman. So Ramanuja uses his principle or methodology of Samanvayādhikaraṇa to reconcile statements of Saguna Shruti and Nirguna Shruti, reconciles that the ultimate reality is Ishvara, and that Ishvara has Chitta and Achitta as its aspects, and he tries to reconcile. So the word Sharirika with Dharinam Shastri is used for Sri Bhashya. Of course, this is used generally for the Bhashya of Adi Shankaracharya, but he uses it. It is Shariraka. It's like an organic whole in which there are multiple parts. All parts have their own respective loci. They have their respective roles, but all are coordinated in the synthetic unity of the whole. So diversity in unity, embedded in unity. Well, this is what Ramanuja has insisted on. Of course, I think I would not go into detail. This, on some other occasion, I shall be doing that. But let us hear Professor Srinivasa Varakhedi from the Madhva point of view. We had different points of view, different perspective, and Professor Varakhedi, who has been an erudite scholar, not only a good administrator, because he has been vice chancellor of many universities, and now a prestigious university, Central Sanskrit University, which has 10 campuses in different parts of our country. And they are as good as 10 Vidyapeethas. So let us, I think, invite Professor Srinivasa Varakhedi and be benefited by his learning and expertise. Professor Srinivasa Varakhedi, please. Please invite Professor Varakhedi.
So, Namaskaromi. I think I'm audible.
Please loudly. Speak loudly.
Yes. व्यासाय भवनाशाय श्री गुणराशये हृद्याय शुद्ध विद्याय नध्वाय च नमो नमः. आपादमूलि पर्यन्तं गुरूणाम् आकृतिं स्मरेत् यत्घ्नाः प्रणश्यन्ति सिद्ध्यन्ति च मनोरथाः. Respected Professor Bhatt sir, Professor Srikala Nair, Director of Sri Shankara Studies of Vedanta, and the scholars, learned research scholars, professors, and friends assembled here. Professor Bhatt has painted a big canvas, and I am putting a dot there. Of course, it is a good introduction, a scholarly introduction, that my burden is less. So I'm thankful to Professor Bhatt for his scholarly reading. And this is a very great challenge by my elderly scholar and Professor Srikala Nair. So after being administrator, such invitations are really challenging. And I do not want to miss such challenges. Nowadays, administrator is an easy job. In getting tested in front of the scholar is really a fascinating invitation for me. Somehow I accepted, and then I postponed for a few days because of this new assignment and engagement and set of development. But I did not want to miss this for two reasons. That Angikritam Sukrinah Paripalayanti is one reason, and the second reason is, if at all my my learning of the past is tested, that's good for me, because I can again see that gap. Any opportunity, such opportunities. So thanks to Professor Srikala for creating this opportunity to be in front of you and present something in front of you. This is really challenging. As I just gathered collected my all memories. I wanted to place some of my thank to my friend Dr. Srinivasa Acharya, who provided the relevant text for me because I'm very much away in Delhi, that too sitting in a very cold place, and I cannot get anything except tea and coffee. So thanks to him. And anyway, let me begin with this the statement made by Professor Bhatt. It's very interesting that the Brahma Sutras constitute a very important basis for the Vedantic tradition, more so in Madhva tradition. Please note this, more so in Madhva tradition. Why? Because Shruti is considered to be highest pramana in Advaita Vedanta. Of course, Shruti is highest. It has got highest place. But in order to, without a proper interpretation, Shruti cannot convey its meaning. Therefore, Brahma Sutra is considered as, it has been given the utmost importance in Madhva school. That means Madhva says it is Sarva Shastrottamam Shastram. Why? Because without which you cannot conclude anything from Shruti. Shrutis are there. Shrutir Vibhinna Srutayascha Vinnaha Naiko Madhuriyasya Vachah Pramanam. There are so many Shruti Vakyas which definitely, if you read Shruti Vakyas, then you will be in confusion. You cannot conclude. Therefore, Shrutis, though they are the sadhanas, pramanas for any conclusion of Tattvartha, without the support of Brahma Sutras, Shruti alone cannot become pramana. Therefore, Madhva's argument is this. Therefore, so only when you apply the Nyayas revealed by Brahma Sutra, you can interpret and come to a conclusion through Shrutis. The Shrutis are pramanas. They become pramanas only when you apply Nyayas of Brahma Sutra. Therefore, Brahma Sutra is very important. It is like this. Sometimes, you have very good axis which you can cut. But without hand, it won't be useful for you. You may have very nice knife, but that knife will cut only when it has good hands, right? Good supporting system. So, as we know that certain sadhanas, instruments, will lead to the results and they function properly only with certain, proper support. That support is Brahma Sutra. So Brahma Sutras enjoy very great important place in Madhva's tradition. So this is called Sutra Prasthana or Nyaya Prasthana. Shruti Prasthana and Sutra Prasthana. Sutra Prasthana is Nyaya Prasthana basically. Therefore, if you just if you can interpret in modern ways, Madhva is highly logical and he is not very much orthodox. He is more all his interpretations are based on logic. Therefore, he is dependent on Nyayas. So, if you see Brahma Sutras, one important aspect of Brahma Sutras we should understand. So, I think I need not explain. I think Professor Shikalaji tell me I did not go into the details of Brahma Sutras because everybody knows it. So, I assume that everybody knows. But only one unique feature that is explained by Madhva is to be noted here. Very much important. If you go to Brahma Sutras, there are 4 adhyayas. Everyone knows. There are sutras. And sutras are interpreted, and those sutras are not, They are not given with numbers actually. So it is very continued sentence. So one sentence. You can consider this one sentence cut into four pieces. Okay. Again, if you want, you can cut anywhere. You can cut them and you can delimit with some meaning and you can give the interpretation. There are one is adhyaya, then pada, then you can make them piece into the sections, adhikarana. That means in one adhikarana, you will find 1 to many sutras, sometimes 1, sometimes 2, sometimes 10. Both the acharyas, including Shankara and Ramanuja, they followed one method. What is that method? They have taken certain sutras as Purvapaksha sutras. And then 1 or 2 sutras at the end of adhikarana, they are considered to be the concluding sutras. That means Nirnayaka sutras. That means you can, in a section, if you find 4 sutras, then among them maybe 2 or 3 maybe Purvapaksha sutras which propose the Purvapaksha. Then 1 sutra or 2 sutra maybe depending upon it's not there's no, if you go to the Shankara Bhashya you will understand. So 1 or 2 may be conclusive sutras, Nirnayaka sutras. So in this way you will find Purvapaksha sutra and Nirnayaka sutra in Shankara's arrangement of Brahma Sutras, even in the Ramanuja's arrangement of Sutra, and many others. But what I have found academically, this is interesting for you. Only one Acharya who followed a different path. He invented a different path because only 365 sutras are there. Why they have to propose is Purvapaksha? And because if you count Shankara's Bhashya, half of them are Purvapaksha sutras, sometimes more than that. you may consider that 60%, 70% are Purvapaksha sutras, and only 30% sutras are Siddhanta sutras. But according to Madhva, all sutras are Siddhanta sutras. There is no Purvapaksha sutra at all. All those sutras which are interpreted by Shankara as Purvapaksha sutras, they propose Purvapaksha, then Siddhanta is at the end. And Madhva, according to Madhva, every sutra is Siddhanta sutra. Therefore, the Purvapaksha is either proposed in the half of the sutra sometimes. Evam iti. So there are
Not audible.
but you can see that there is something like iti chenna. Then iti chet is Siddhanta Purvapaksha part. Up to that, it's a demarcation. There is a line. Iti chet. So if it is so, it is not so. Then no part is Siddhanta Sutra. So each and every sutra is Siddhanta Sutra. There is no Purvapaksha Sutra at all according to Madhva. This is unique interpretation method. And the second part is most of the times, the Shruti that is taken for discussion, Shruti sentence that is taken for discussion, sometimes only Madhva changes them. Madhva brings something else because normally he does not follow the same path. And the third very important aspect is
Not audible at all.
His connection is going in between.
Yeah.
Professor Varakhedi, we can't hear you.
Yeah. Now am I audible now?
Yeah, now audible. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sometimes this
Please
connectivity.
repeat the third. Repeat the third.
Yeah, I repeat. Madhva, third one is this, that according to Madhva's interpretation, just missed this. Yes, Shruti after Shruti, and the third point is, Madhva says, Madhva is very brief. He is very short in his writing. And Nanyatha Tadanupatehe. Then he quotes some out one or two Purana Vakyas. Therefore, if you read Madhva Bhashya alone, we don't get anything. We really don't get anything. So it is that no.
You're getting stuck.
So I'm getting stuck. 1 minute. I use 1 minute. I'll use some other internet.
Yeah.
1 minute. Just a minute. I just change my.
Yeah, better.
Am I audible?
Hello? Are you getting stuck again? Hello? Hello?
In the guest house, that is fluctuating. It is fluctuating due to rains. Today it is audible, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Madhva is very brief.
Yeah.
Therefore, Madhva is very brief. Therefore, we cannot understand Madhva just by reading Madhvas. So we need two things. One is we must go through Shankara first. The person who did not go through Shankara's Mahabhashya cannot understand Madhva Bhashya. The second point is because he keeps I at Shankara Bhashya, then he says only Nanyatha. So what is Nanyatha? Nanyatha is Shankara. Nanyatha part is Shankara's tradition. Therefore, Shankara Bhashya, we do not get Madhva Bhashya. This is we need to keep in our mind. The third very, very important aspect is we need support. Commentaries on Madhva is very important. Jaitirtha, a famous commentator of Madhva, has written, actually Madhva on Brahmasutra, Madhva has 4 works. Very brief one and elaborate one. Both are in the style of shlokas, Shlokavartika style. But there's a Shlokavartika written by on Mimamsa. The same Shlokavartika is written by Madhva on Brahmasutras. It is called Anuvyakhyana. So it's very elaborate, and it has considered all aspects of all commentaries on Brahmasutra.
Why is it named as Shlokavartika?
On every darshan. It is in fact like Shlokavartika. It follows the methodology of Shlokavartika. Secondly, the Anuvyakhyana is Anubhashya is very small and brief in 100 stanzas. And Madhva Bhashya is very brief. It is a great answer to Shankara Bhashya. And another Nyaya Deepika, which is Nyaya Vivarana, which focuses on the logical aspect of Brahmasutras. So keeping all these in view, commentator Jaitirtha has elaborated Madhva Bhashya in detail. So now, therefore, I cannot read Madhva Bhashya. I can read Jaitirtha's commentary. I can read Madhva Bhashya only with Jaitirtha's commentary. Which is very, very, it is not very short. Now I straight away go to Madhva Bhashya's, So before entering to that, I just start with the sequence of logical sequence when one need to understand. Om Athato Brahma Jignasa is the first sutra where Brahma Jignasa is implicitly, mandated. It is mandated. So the one who wants to get mukti has to know Brahman, and he should do Brahma Jignasa. Jignasa means Brahma Vichara. So Vichara is very important. Vichara means we cannot say that we just understand Brahman through Shruti. No. Manana is very important. To do Dhyanam, we should calm our mind. To calm our mind, we should eradicate all doubts. In order to eradicate all doubts, we need to do Vichara. So Vichara means Manana. Manana means Yuktya Anusandhanam. So using all our yuktis, anumanas, and all justification and reasons, by reasons we should come to a conclusion, and that conclusion will help us to meditate on Brahman. Okay, Jignasa is not just meditation; it is manana with vichara. Now come to the second part. What is Brahman? Brahman is that it is defined. Definition is given. That definition is in first sutra itself. Brahman is defined as Guna Purna. Brahanto Hyasmin Gunaha. The one who possesses all good without any blemish is considered to be Brahman. Brahma means Brahanto Hyasmin Gunaha. Guna Purna. Guna Purnam Brahma. In order to justify this, second sutra says Janmadesayatah Asya Purodrishyamanasya Jagatah. The world is coming from this Brahman, therefore Brahman is Janma Jagat Na. Because he is full of all good qualities. Without qualities, without power, without knowledge, without intelligence, you cannot create the world. Therefore, he must be a perfect person, empowered, all empowerment, intentions, good intention. Therefore, he is creating. Okay. The third part, then what is Pramana? Shastra Yunitva. Shastra is Pramana. Shastra Yunitva, Shastram Pramanam. But he is not Shastra Yunitva. He may be Shastra Karana, but that is not intended here. Intention is this. He is conveyed by Pramana, Shastra Pramana. What is Shastra? Shastra is Veda, Shastra. Veda and Pramana. So very interestingly, according to Shankara, only these 4 sutras are very important, which gives the sound introduction and
We can't hear you, Professor Varakhedi. Hello. Hello.
hello. Any difficulty?
Yeah. We missed it. No, we missed a lot. We were not hearing you.
Okay. 1 minute. 1 minute. I will. How to do that? I don't know. So
Hello.
वेबिनार चल रही है.
but
Professor Varakhedi, you are getting stuck. आप फोन पे बात कीजिएगा. Can you speak in the phone?
yes. No, I think I'm clear, right?
Yeah, you're clear. But why don't you use the phone, Professor Varakhedi? Probably that's
No, he is on mobile only.
okay. Are you on mobile?
No, actually, no. I'm using my not laptop. This is a kind of tab. I'm using it. No, mobile.
Tab.
Mobile
Okay,
is
that is why.
on a tab.
Okay, you try. Let us see how good we go.
Yes. No, it is fine. I think I have used because it was taking local network, which was not fine. But now I'll tell you. I start with the Brahma. First of all, Brahma Sutras begin with the first sutra, Janmadhyasya Yataha. Right, Omathato Brahma Jignasa. In where Brahman is defined as full of good qualities, Gunapurna. Then why? How to decide his Gunapurna? Because one justification is given, Janmadhyasya. Because he is Jagat Karana, he must be a perfect personality. Without qualities, he cannot create. Without power, he cannot create. He should possess power. He should also possess intention. He should also possess complete knowledge of what is the real world. Therefore, Janmadhyasya defines him as Jagat Karana. It is not a definition. It is justification for the definition that is given in Brahma's first sutra. Okay, first sutra itself defines Brahman as Gunapurna, because Brahma Shabda itself conveys that it is Gunapurna. Brahma Shabda Brahantohyasmin Gunaha. Then second part justifies it. Third sutra is Pramana Sutra. What is the evidence? What is the Pramana? Shastra is Pramana. Shastra Yonitva. The fourth sutra, how do you conclude that Shastra, Pramana is only in conveys that is Vishnu. So now I come to the one more point. Madhva is a strong Vaishnava. He believes that Brahman is none other than Vishnu. Brahman is none other than Vishnu. And all words of Shruti, each and every word of Shruti, every swara of Shruti conveys Vishnu as Brahman. The question comes, why not any other person, any other object is not conveyed by Shruti? Why not? So we will hear so many Shrutis. We come across so many Shrutis like which explain Rudra as Jagat Karana, Brahma Chaturmukha as Jagat Karana. Therefore, why only Vishnu is Jagat Karana? Why not others? In order to conclude, Tattu Samanvayādhikaraṇa. Tat Jagat Karanam, Yataha, because you can conclude, you can connect Yat. Yat and tat. Yataha asya jagataha janmadi tat eva. So tutu means eva, avadharana. Avadharana means it is emphatic marker. It emphasizes. Tadeva Brahma, Vishnureva Brahma. Why? Where Vishnu is told here? No, Vishnu Shabda is not there. I'll come to that point. Why? Samanvaya. Sam Anvaya. So Anvaya means Tatparya Linga. Anvaya means connection. Application. Anvaya means application. When you apply certain tools of interpretation, Samanvaya means tools of interpretation. Application of tools of interpretation. Samanvaya means application of tools of interpretation. When you apply tools of interpretation, you will come to a conclusion that Shastra Yoni is Vishnuhu Eva. None other than him can be Jagat Karana. So now you can read this line. Okay, very clear line. Brahma Jignasa Kartavya. What is Brahman? Yataha Janmadhyasya Yataha. Then Tattu Samanvaya. You can read this line. You should jump from that sutra to this sutra. In between, Shastra Unittas is only saying that it is an adjunct part of the Pura Sutra. That means it is saying that what is Pramana? Shastra is Pramana. How? Samanvaya. How part is told here? Samanvaya. Without application of tools of interpretation, you cannot conclude that Shastra is Pramana. So, in order to get the right meaning of Shastra, you need to use Samanvaya. That is application of tools of interpretation. What are those tools? Those tools are, see, I read these lines, that will be Janmadhyasya Sutrena Gunasarvasva Siddhai. I don't again interpret them in Sanskrit, in English. Janmadhyasya Sutrena Gunasarvasva Siddhaye Brahmano Lakshanam Proktam. Janmadhyasya Sutrena eva Brahmano Lakshanam Proktam. Not the second sutra. The first sutra itself defines Brahman. Okay. Shastra Moolam Yatastata. Then the Shastra Moolam, because Shastra is Moola for that. Anvaya Sarva Shabdanam. Anvaya Sarva Shabdanam. Guna Sarvasva Vedaka. This is very important here. Samanvaya, and last sutra is again an appendix. Ikshaterna Shabdam. It is a separate adhikarana, but on that, this detailed discussion is going on in every sutra. You need to understand that logical connection between Pura Sutra, Pura Adhikarana, and Uttara Adhikarana. In Uttara Adhikarana, Ikshaterna Shabdam, it is interpreted by Shankara as the refutation of Sankhya. Refutation of Sankhya. Because Ashabdam, Prakriti, is because it cannot see, Ikshati is told, Ikshaniya, Ikshitatva, Ikshitritva, Ashabdam Prakritihi, Prakritihi Brahmana Bhavati. This refutation of Sankhya is added here as per the interpretation of Shankara. This has no relevance according to Madhva. If you interpret like that, there is no relevance. Why you are bringing Sankhya here? Sankhya is refuted in other Adhikarana at the end of the Dvitiya Adhyaya. In Dvitiya Adhyaya. Then why you are bringing Sankhya here? So in order to, when Shankara's interpretation is rejected by Madhva, and he will offer another interpretation. What is that interpretation? Ikshati means not Ikshitra, apitu Ikshaniya. That means Brahma can be understood through Upanishad. Therefore, Brahma is not Ashabdam, not Shabda Agochara. Brahma is Shabda Gochara, Shabda Vishaya. So, according to Shankara, Brahman is Shabda Avishaya. Therefore, it is Ashabdam. But according to Madhva, Brahman is Shabda Vishaya. We need to understand this. This is very, very important, subtle difference with Shankara and Madhva. Madhva's difference with Shankara. He differs. He differs in this aspect that according to Shankara, Brahman is vacham agochara. And no word can convey, no sentence can convey. Even Shruti is not pramana according to Shankara. Why? So it is very, very illogical according to Madhva to say that Shruti Shastra Yonitvat, you are saying that one way, you are saying that Shastra Yonitvat. That means Brahman is conveyed by Shastra. Then again you say Brahman cannot be conveyed by anything. No pramana is available because Brahman is agochara. This is very much, in one sense, according to Madhva, there is a contradiction. In order to resolve this contradiction, Madhva says Brahman is conveyed by Shruti. Therefore, he is not Ashabda. He is Shabdagamya. Therefore, he is Samanvaya. You can make Samanvaya. Otherwise, Samanvaya, there is no meaning of Samanvaya at all. Even if you bring Shruti and apply in some Brahman, you cannot apply it because it is untouchable, Asanga. So when Brahman is totally Asanga, how can you apply, how can you make a Samanvaya of Shruti in Brahman? Therefore, with this logic, Madhva says, Samanvaya means upakramadi lingaihi, upakrama, upasamhara, abhyasaha, apurvata, phalam, arthavadaha, upapattischa. Lingam tatpara nirnaya. If you want to get the purport of any passage or any Shruti or any Shabda Sandarbha, you need to see all these things. If you receive a letter, if you receive a mail, and after reading that mail, sometimes we will say, what this person is saying, I don't get it. Sometimes it happens. People say so many things. People write so many things. We receive so many papers for reviewing. And while reviewing, we don't understand what exactly is said here. Because there is no proper upakrama. There is no proper upasamhara. Then there is no avritti of what they are saying. So this is what required. In a complete passage, you need to identify these signs. These are the good signs, and if at all we need to understand the purport, these are the signs. That means upakrama, good upakrama. For example, in Brahma Sutra itself, Brahma Jignasa, Om Athato Brahma Jignasa, Atha Yoga Anushasana. You will find the very first sutra itself introduces the major topic of the entire discussion. This is upakrama. Okay. In Upasamhara, etena sarve vyakhyataha. That means with this, everything is interpreted, everything is explained. There you will find another Upasamhara. So this Upakrama and Upasamhara will show us what exactly is said here. And repetition, abhyasaha, shabdabhyasaha, then arthavada, and upatti means linga. I don't go into details of that. Those tools are explained in Mimamsa. And bringing them here, once you apply them on Brahma Sutras and Shrutis, you will get the exact purport of the Shruti, that is Brahman, that is Vishnu, he alone is Jagat Karana. Samanvayat tadeva Vishnureva Brahma Jagat Karanam iti Shastra Yonitvam Siddhyati. So you can completely understand these 5 sutras. So these 5 sutras together make the preface of Brahma Sutras. This 4th sutra is Tattva Samamaya. Here, one more important point I would like to make. That is, according to Shankara, Shruti Samanvaya is only through Lakshana. Shabda Samanvaya is only through Lakshana. That means no word can touch the Brahman. Yato vacho nivartante aprapta manasasa. When such is the Shruti, even Madhva cannot refute it. he also agrees that yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasa. The words cannot completely explain Brahman, okay? But they convey, they touch him, they convey him, but they cannot, completely explain with one word. That's the only limitation of each word. Therefore, according to Shankara, no word can explain any bit of it, because Brahman is asanga, totally he is untouchable, anirvachaniya, anirvarnaniya, agochara. But according to Madhva, he is Shabda Vishaya. But one small word, a token of word, can explain or can convey one aspect of Brahman. It cannot completely explain Brahman, but it can touch one part of, one amsha of Brahman, that is one quality. That means each word conveys one quality of Brahman, therefore each word has Samanvaya in Brahman. Therefore, according to Shankara, passage is conveying through Lakshana, passage, one entire passage is conveying Brahman with Lakshana. Only Tatparya Vritti. Not each word can convey Brahman with Abhidhavritti. According to Madhva, each word through Abhidhavritti can convey Brahman. This is the difference. Therefore, when we read Madhva, we should be very careful that these axioms we should remember before reading Madhva. Otherwise, we will get into confusion. So, Shruti Samanvaya means, according to Madhva, even a small syllable, swara, varna, shabda, vakya, everything can convey Brahman with its own limitations. But Abhidhavritti is accepted. Abhidhavritti also, Mukhya Vritti, he says Parama Mukhya Vritti. He uses one term, Parama Mukhya Vritti. That means it is extraordinary, very prominent vritti, which is a direct vritti, direct power of conveying the meaning. That power resides in each word. That means even a swara, even by intonation, will convey Brahman. So swara, varna and shabda and pada and shabda, vakya, everything conveys Brahman with Abhidhavritti. This is the Madhva's stand. So when such is the stand, now we should understand what is Samanvaya. Samanvaya means it is not the passage, it is not the purport of the passage, but it is each word conveying Brahman is the stand of. When it conveys, for example, I take one example. The word Vishnu, the word Rudra, the word Shiva, the word Indra, the word Atman, Anandamaya, so Prana, all these words that are explained in Samanvayādhikaraṇa, you can see that many words will come. So Pranaha, then Anandamaya, Abhyasat. So Anandamaya, this Brahman is Anandamaya. That means the word Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Anandamaya convey Brahman, Abhyasa. So Anandamaya is a token. So one example is given. With Anandamaya example, we can conclude that each word in that entire passage will convey Brahman. So if we yes, there was a suggestion that use Madhvacharya. Definitely, Acharya Madhva is highly respectable, not only for me, but everyone. So nothing, even in संस्कृतभाषायामपि मध्वः इत्येव प्रयोगः, न कुत्रापि शङ्करः इत्येव प्रयोगः। तस्य अर्थः तस्य अगौरवम् इति अर्थः। एकवचनं सर्वदा अगौरवं न भवति, एकवचनं सर्वदा गौरवं भवति। So even if I say Professor S.R. Bhatt, that doesn't mean that I'm insulting him. So I'm this is Kannada and other bhashas, they will add bahuvachana, but in English or in we cannot add in English they, he only. I cannot say Madhva is they. So it is odd in English. संस्कृतभाषया अपि ते इति व्यवहारः न प्रयोगः नास्ति, मध्वाचार्याः इति प्रयोगः नास्ति, मध्वः इत्येव प्रयोगः। There are so many words. Even Trivikrama, his own direct disciple of Madhva, only says Madhva. In his stutis, he will use Madhva. So don't worry. And somebody suggested, I respect his feelings, but definitely that is not insulting any Acharya, and Acharya Shankara and Acharya Madhva all are equally respectable for us. Okay. I have to give an answer if someone suggests something. I respect it. So now the point is this, that according to Madhvacharya, this is also Ekavachana actually. According to Madhvacharya, each word conveys one quality in Brahman. How? It is Shabda Pravritti Hetunam Tasmin Mukhya Samanvayāt Vachakatvam hi Shabdana. This is Shabdaha Brahma Vachakaha. Shabdaha Brahma Vachakaha bhavanti, natu Brahmana Lakshakaha. So this difference one should understand. So if you use Gangayam Ghoshaha, the word Ganga is Lakshanika Shabda. That means it is not directly conveying the Tira, but it is conveying through Lakshana, it is conveying Tira. So Gangaya means Ganga Tira. So there is the indirect relation. There is no direct relation. But for Shankara, every word does not have, all words, the Shruti words do not have direct relation. They have indirect relation. But according to Madhva, every word has direct relation with the Brahman object, Vishnu. So this direct relation, Abhidhavritti, conveys one sort of property in Brahman. How? For example, Lekhani, pen. What is pen? Pen which is used for writing, which writes. The property of capacity of writing is there in pen. Therefore, without that, it cannot be called as pen. Okay. What is the nimitta of pen while using the word pen in the pen? That is some property. Even similarly, the globe is called as Gau. Gau. Prithvi is called as Gau. Why Gau? Because it is Gachati. It always moves. It is always moving. Therefore, it is Gau. So there is a pravritti nimitta, Shabda pravritti nimitta. The word conveys certain property which resides in the object, without which we cannot use that word in that. Otherwise, see, somebody is maybe white, somebody maybe is dark. If someone is white, if he is dark, we cannot use white while showing him. Why? Because whiteness is not there. If someone is dark, we cannot use white. Someone is white, we cannot use dark. Because darkness is not residing in that particular person. Therefore, Shabda always conveys certain property which resides in the person. So only that person then can be called with that name. So if all names are given to Brahman, innumerable names are given. Shruti is Ananta, and Ananta Shabda, and Ananta Nama, then Ananta Guna. Now we can understand how Madhva is coming to a conclusion that Brahman is Ananta Guna, because Ananta Shruti, Ananta Nama, then each nama is conveying one property in Brahman, one guna in Brahman. Therefore, Brahman is Ananta Guna. You cannot say now Brahman is Nirguna. Okay. So now you tell me why Brahman is not Nirguna. Brahman is also said Nirguna. Yes, he is not possessing the Triguna. He is not Triguna Baddha. Sattva Tamo Gunaha Nasantiti Heto Nirguna. But he has all his own properties. His own Aprakrita Guna. Therefore, he is Ananta Guna. So this is the whole idea of Tattva Samanvayad. But now I'll come to one passage that is very important passage. I think we should. I think how much time I get, Professor Shikalaji? If you give me.
You can go ahead. Probably we can wind up in another 10 minutes. Is that fine?
Yeah. Then fine. I can really now. On that. Points I covered, but only I could not read, then I read one part. I'll use this. See, in Madhva Bhashya, Ajnanam Pratiyamanapi Netresham Shastra Yonitvam. Kutaha? See, everyone will not understand. Ajnanam Pratiyamanamapi Netresham Shastra Yonitvam. Itaresham. So others, other than Vishnu, cannot be considered as Jagat Karana, and then they got Shastra Yunitam. No Shastra is Pramana there. Why? Tattva Samanvayat. Vishnureva Brahma Samanvayat. Anvayaha Upapatyadi Lingam. Anvaya means Upapatyadi Lingam. Lingam. Lingam means sign, mark. Lingam is sign and mark and the tool. The tool is Upapatyadi. Upapatti means reason. What are those Upapattis? Upakramopasamharo Abhyasaha Apurvata Phalam Arthavadaha Upapattischa Lingam Tatparya Nirnaye. Upakrama means beginning. Upasamhara is conclusion. In a passage or in a passage of Shruti, you will find Upakrama and Upasamhara. To come to a conclusion, you need to use these tools as the tools for interpretation. Then Abhyasa. In certain passage, if one word is repeated, then that means that that passage is trying to convey that one. For example, in an old example that I give, I know a son writes a mail to his father who is residing somewhere in the hostel. He begins with salutations, and he says, "Hope you are all doing well." Okay, and at the end also, "I wish you all the best." But he repeatedly says, I have to pay the fees, and I have to purchase this, and I have to do this. Therefore, all my bank account is now empty. So if repeatedly he does something, that means that he needs money. So this is Abhyasa. So in a mail, if 10 times he is writing that, I should not say he has written me a mail mail to inquire my health. No, he has written mail to get the money. So this is what Abhyasa. So there will be something in the beginning, something in the end. That is love, expression of love. But at the same time, he is giving all the justification for his, this is what we should understand. Otherwise, if I don't understand that, then I'm not a good father. So Shruti also conveys this. Repeatedly, Shruti says, it is not Brahman. Something else is Brahman. Neti Netyatma. So repeatedly, Atma Vishaye Charcha Bhavati. Then what is Atma? It is conveyed. Therefore, even Madhva says, if you read the certain Shrutis, repeatedly Bheda is conveyed, not Abheda. If you find Atma Tattvasi, only one sentence will come. Aitidatma Vidam Sarvam, only one sentence will come. But if you read the examples, Navakrutva, 9 times examples are given, and all those examples, if you read them very carefully, those examples will convey only Bheda, difference between Atma and Jiva and Prakriti. Now at the end, if he says, Saiva Atma, Aitidatma Vidam Sarvam, that means that somewhere they have got good relation. That's all. So Atma Tattvamasi means both are not same, both are not one and the same, but both have strong relation. Because sometimes I say, my friend, you need not consider him different from me. Shrikala is very close to me. He is no difference at all. That means it doesn't mean that we both are one and the same. It means that we are so close. So Brahman and Jiva are so close at this juncture. That's it. Therefore, if you carefully read the examples, those examples convey you difference. Therefore, Madhva says Abhyasa is very important aspect of reading the text. Upakrama, Upasamhara, Abhyasa, and Apurvata. So something new is conveyed because Bheda is new thing, not Abheda is new thing. Everyone thinks that I am great. Okay, I am Brahman. Everyone thinks that. We should tell that no, you are not great. You are a simple jiva. That is what Apurva actually. So if you say ask everyone, so I am great. Everyone thinks that I am great. But only when we have to tell them, no, you are not great. You have to be very humble because you are a small person. So this is what is said. This is Apurvata. And Phalam. What is Phalam? Moksha is Phalam. Moksha is given by, it is obtained through the prasada of Brahman. Prasada is required. Prasada means anugraha. It is a given. It is given. It is not achieved. So this phala also conveys that it is Brahman is different. So Arthavada and Upatti we can. So this is how when we use these tools of interpretation in each passage, again from Anandamaya Abhyas, Anandamaya Adhikarana till the end of Samanvaya, there are so many different adhikaranas. They give us one aspect of justification to one, to do Samanvaya of one category of words. So words are categorized in different, different categories. They are segregated different categories. So if you see 20 categories, all categories are applied in Brahman. So if one word is shown as applied in Brahman, then the whole category is applied. So Anandamaya is one such example. Prana is another such example. Akasha is another such example. So with these examples, Brahma Sutra gives us a kind of reasons how to apply one one category of words in Brahman. With that, every passage is interpreted. So if you read Shrutis, you will come across only these types of passages, 20 types of passages. Then 20 types of passages are applied in Brahman with these examples, and then you can conclude the whole Shruti. Otherwise, just by giving these examples, we cannot conclude that everything is interpreted. So these are categories, these are types. So Samanvayādhikaraṇa, in a nutshell, Samanvayādhikaraṇa ultimately, Upakrama, Upasam. Then you can see Madhva's interpretation, Upakrama, Upasamhara, how each, while interpreting each passage in Anandamayādhikaraṇa, Pranādhikaraṇa, Akashādhikaraṇa, he uses this Upakrama, Upasamhara, Abhyasa, Apurvata, Phalam, Linga, Arthavada, Linga, Upavati. Then he says this word or this category of word conveys Brahman in this way. Then he says, this is what Brahman. Gunapurnam, Brahman, Gunapurnam. Then he proceeds with other. So with this, I don't take much time because I just read what is first one line of, otherwise I wanted to read one passage of Jaitirtha's commentary on Madhva, but definitely I want to really two sentences I would like to take, because which are very important according to me. So give me 5 minutes. I will just conclude with the commentary lines of Jaitirtha, without which, as I said, we cannot understand Vadva. So electronic copies have their own advantages and disadvantages. Yes. Advantage is that we can take them anywhere. Disadvantage is that sometimes they go off. Yes. So this is the lines. Astu shastraika samadhigamyam jagat karanam. Shastraika samadhigamyam jagat karanam. The jagat karana Brahman is conveyed by Shastras. Let it be there. But tathapi, why not others are conveyed? Why not others are conveyed by Shruti as jagat karana? शास्त्रतयव अन्येषां हर हिरण्यगर्भादीनां प्रधानादीनां च जगत्कारणत्व प्रतीतेः अतिव्यापकमिदं लक्षणम्. There are possibilities, because we have seen the passages in Shruti that they convey that, Shrutis convey that the others are also jagatkara. So namani sarvani, all namani sarvani yama vishanti, all names convey only Vishnu. When you conclude this, then only you can conclude that Vishnu is Brahman. But that is yet to be done. Therefore, this particular adhikarana has a relevance. This is called Sangati. Without establishing the relevance of this particular sutra, you cannot proceed. Therefore, in order to answer this question, in order to eradicate this doubt, Sutrakara says Tattu Samanvayāt. Then it says that Upakramaadayaha eva anviyante. I read this. Anviyante means Shakti Tatparya Gocharena Sambadhyante. Anvaya means Sambandha. Words get in contact with Brahman. That means that you cannot say that they don't have contact. They don't have relation. You have relation. Shakti Tatparya Gocharena. Shakti and Tatparya are there. Both are there. If you take the entire passage, Tatparya Vritti is there. If you take a small unit of the word sentence, then Shakti is there. Therefore, Upakramadi Tatparya Lingaihi Vichare Kriyamane. Then you have to come to Vichara. Once you know that each word is conveying, each passage is conveying Brahman, then you can come to a conclusion that Brahman is conveyed by Shruti. He is the Jagat Karana. This is what Samanvaya itself is Vichara. Now come to what is Vichara? It is methodology. First step of Vichara is Samanvaya. When you begin Vichara, when you begin to meditate Brahman or to debate upon Brahman, then the first step is Shruti Samanvaya. Once Shruti Samanvaya is done, then you will come to a conclusion, then Vichara proceeds. This is how the entire passage is. There's one line I would like to add. Sarvet samshabdartha eva. So entirety of words will convey Brahman, that is Sam. Sarva Shastrartha. This is what said Samanvaya. Otherwise, only Anvaya is enough. But Samanvaya is all words, entirety of Shruti conveys Brahman. This is what Sam means. Ataha Sarthakam Sutre Tadgaranam. So here this this adhikarana ends with this line, tadevam jagadjanmadikaranattvena mukhya vritya varna pada vakyatmaka ashesha shastra pratipadyam narayanakyam brahmaiva iti sustham lakshanamiti siddham. See, now you can, this is the concluding statement which I explained everything. Tadevam jagadjanmadikaranattvena mukhya vritya. I said param mukhya vritti. It is not indirect relation, not lakshana. Okay. It is not only passage. Apitu varna pada vakyatmaka ashesha shastra. Entirety. Therefore, some is added here. Shastra pratipadyam narayanakyam brahmaiva sustham lakshanam iti stham. Om Sham. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Very insightful presentation indeed. And now the floor is open for discussion. And it looks like there is no questions in the chat box. If there is any queries, you can also ask directly.
Professor Varakhedi, I think I'll just initiate the discussion. So two concerns. One is, the Shadlingas are quite fine. Are you there? Your video is not.
Yeah, I'm here.
Huh. So this Shadlingas, it's quite fine when it is applied to ordinary literature. But then, a bit, don't you think it is a bit odd to apply it to Shruti? That is, something you feel that Shruti has been made as an ordinary literature. I mean, of course, you have argued it out beautifully, but then you can take up like, if Shadlingas are for Tatparya Nirnaya of any literary resource, if Shadlingas are applied, that is for ordinary literature. And then can you consider Shruti as just yet another literature? This is my question. And the other question is Shabda Vishayakatva. So Brahma being Shabda Vishayaka. Now the question is, you have said, beautifully, as Madhva says, that every other term refers to Brahman. So my concern is Lekhini. When you say Lekhini, primarily the primary referent is it the pen or the Brahman? What is the primary referent? Is it Brahman or the pen? Yes, Professor.
Yeah, thank you very much for these two really wonderful questions, because second question definitely you have really given me a scope, created a scope for me. Because this is you opened up Madhva's, the beauty of Madhva's as a theory. As you said, Lekhani, it is primarily it refers to pen. This is what understanding of everyone's understanding. Understand that there's no problem, there's no question at all. But therefore, Madhva adds one more line, Parama Mukhya Vritti. Mukhya Vritti is referring to something which is the indirect way. So, which is Lekhani is pen. That's it. But Lekhani, I take one example. When you say Agni means, what is Agni? Agni means Agam Nayati Agni. Ga means moving. Aga means still, not moving. Okay. Aga means still. And Nayati means it propels. The propelling property of a person which moves the still. That means
Agni may also mean Agre Nayati.
Agre Nayati. Both are possibilities. Agre Nayati. It moves front. Okay. So both are possibilities are there. Now the question is, Agni means even fire. That is Agni, because it when you fire, then water starts moving and everything starts moving. Okay. Then this is Agni. But when you go inside in Adhyatma sense, okay. Now you should go to the Adhyatma sense. It is which is detailed by even Rabindo's Kapali Shastri in his work on Vedas. He says, Madhva's interpretations are highly spiritual. Why? He is not limiting the words to refer to the physical mundane world. He is going beyond that. So Agni means a fire, but real Agni is the inside spirit, the spirit which is Antaryami of Agni, which is Antaryami of Agni. That is real Agni. So real Vayu, Indra, every is Antaryami. This Antaryamitva is conveyed by these words. So that is real Mukhya Vritti. Because finally, when you take Shruti as Adhyatmic interpretation of Shruti, then you must reach the highest point, that is Brahman. So there Paramukhya Vritti is resides. Therefore, Madhva considers that Paramukhya Vritti is very important. Then Mukhya Vritti, then of course Lakshana, Gauni, etc. The first part is, yes, it is not, Madhvacharya is not the first person to say that Upakramadis are to be used for getting purport of any passage. Of course, Mimamsakas started with that aspect only. All these tools are given by Mimamsakas, not by Madhva. Definitely without, because when you, it is our problem. Actually, no, one more thing I say. Even great rishis, great, consider that Uttamadhikaris, they will directly understand from Shrutis. They don't require any tools. Okay. For example, to go to the Everest, a perfect person who can climb will climb without any, with support. A person like me has to take lot of support to climb, even climb my own apartment. I have to take the help of the lift. So the problem is, not for everyone lift is required. So Upakrama, the lingas are required for those who cannot understand Vedic passages. Okay. But those persons who can directly understand the Vedic passages, for them Upakrama lingas are not required.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Any other question? Mishra ji, aap? Sachidanand Mishra is here. Which names are Professor Bhatt or anyone else?
Professor Pati is there if he wants to speak.
Professor Pati is here. Yeah, Srini Acharya, please.
Srinivasa Acharya need not ask any question. No, he should answer. He is not the person to ask me the question.
He is not permitted to ask. No. But we would like to hear your conversation between you and Srini Acharya.
He can again give one more interpretation. That's all.
No, I just have a very fundamental question. Is basically in all the Vedanta traditions, as you said, the Upakramadi Tatparya Nirnayaka Linga is there for us to understand. The hermeneutic tools are there for us to understand how to understand Vedas. But are these tools that are Upakrama, Upasamhara, Abhyasa, Purvata, are these tools, how they are used, in what context, or in what prasanga of Veda, how these Tatparya Nirnayaka Linga have been used for us to interpret Vedic texts. So, is there any such citations or references in the Vedanta text?
Yes. Starting from Samanvayādhikaraṇa, you will find the same thing. So, in order to interpret the Samanvayādhikaraṇa, entire Adhikarana of Panchakosha Vidya, if you begin, what is Brahman? So it starts with the question. Then he says, Annam Brahmet Vibhajanat. So Annam is Brahman. So whether Annam is Brahman, see, if you go to Shankara's interpretation, so all these 5 koshas are koshas, not they are Brahmans. Okay, these are. But according to Madhva, though it is referring to, the Anna refers to body, beyond that it refers to Adyate Ticha Bhutani. See, if you see the passage, Adyate Aticha Bhutani, this sort of interpretation cannot stop you somewhere in body. You have to take it to apply it to the Brahman only, because Adyate Aticha Bhutani, only Brahman Adyate Aticha Bhutani. not others. So this sort of interpretation is possible only when you go into the details of Abhyasa, Apurvata. Everywhere Madhva has used this. Even it is famous, and I did not go to the details because that again, that is 1 hour lecture is required for that purpose. Therefore, I don't go into that details, but definitely they are there.
Mishra ji, go ahead.
Yeah,
Thank you.
namaste,
Namaskar, namaskar.
Varakhedi ji.
Namaskar.
I would like to congratulate you for delivering such a wonderful lecture. And I would like to ask you some really simple questions because I have
Yeah,
some.
you said simple, therefore I'm happy.
One point is this: there are some Shruti Vakyas, Nehananasti kinchana sarvam khalvidam brahma. So how Acharya Madhva incorporates these type of Shrutis with the concept of Dvaita? Because it is clearly saying Nehananasti kinchana and again also sarvam khalvidam brahma. So as you explained, somehow it could be understood as annam vai brahma, pranam prano vai brahma. So in that way, but nehananasti kinchana, such type of shruti, and also there is an sarvam khalvidam brahma. How could you accommodate these all?
Yes, I just indicate a couple of reasons and interpretations. Otherwise, it's again a detailed explanation. It becomes a detailed explanation. But as you said, a couple of examples. Let us take Nehananasti Kinchana. Nehananasti Kinchana means. So, what is this line and expression conveys? When the Rishi, these are the revelations of Rishis. Okay, Shruti Vakyas are revelations of Rishis. It is the perception of Rishi. He perceived something during his meditation. See, when you read those lines with that context, what is Iha? Iha means not this word. Iha means Brahman. Okay, because he is into Brahman now. So Iha means Brahmani. Nana kyopi nasti. Brahman is akhanda. Brahman is akhanda and he is not having body like me, which is separate. Everything is him only. So this Brahmani, Brahmamsheshu nanatva nirakaranam. Iha Brahmani nana kinchana nasti. Everything is, that means even Brahmana's chakshu, Brahmana shiraha, Brahmana padaha, iti kyopi kalpana kriyate. तत्सर्वमपि ब्रह्ममयमेव. ब्रह्मणपादस्य यावती शक्तिः तावती शक्तिः ब्रह्मणः शिरसः अपि, ब्रह्मणः चक्षुषः अपि. अतः ब्रह्मचक्षुषोः ब्रह्मणः पादानाञ्च बाहूनाञ्च भेदो नास्ति इति. एवं ब्रह्मावयवेषु ब्रह्मांशेषु ब्रह्मणः व्याप्त्या स्थितस्य ब्रह्मणः अंशेषु भेदो नास्ति इति वक्तुं नेहनानास्ति किंचन इति तात्पर्यम् इति वर्णनम्. So another good example you have given me is sarvam khalvidam brahma. Katham sarvatmaktam vastunah. See, one famous example is given by my guru. When India was totally captured by our former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, then there was a title, India is Indira. Okay. Indira में भेद ही नहीं है. Why? Because India is completely occupied by Indira. She was the only person who was dictating everything. Similarly, if everything is occupied, everything is controlled, completely controlled by someone, rest are just they don't have any existence. That means they have existence. मेरे घर में मैं अकेला हूँ. इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि सच्चिदानंद जी के घर में सच्चिदानंद जी सारा है. सच्चिदानंद जी सारा है इसका मतलब है सारा सच्चिदानंद नहीं, उनके वाइफ भी है लेकिन उनका चलता नहीं. तो जिसका चलता है वही है. So the word, the power shows this. Therefore, sarvam brahmamayam. This means that Brahma has the power and control over the system. Others do not have independent existence. They have existence, but they don't have independence. To show the dependency, we say these words. These are the expressions.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Very brilliant exposition is offered by Madhvacharya.
This
However, I have a little doubt because you concluded your lecture saying that due to Abhidha Vritti, he is taking, and now to explain this sentence, he is taking care of Lakshana Vritti, because in that sense it will be Lakshanika.
See, yeah, as you pointed out, Sarva is Sarva, Sarvam, Sarva, Sarva, Shivo, Vishivo, Sarva, Sarva, Shivo. Vishnu Sahasranam also we find Sarva.
Sarva, Sarva,
Shivasthanu.
Sarva Shivasthanu, Bodhada, Nidhira.
So there's Sarva Shabda. Sarva Shabda conveys Vishnu only. Okay. And Brahma Shabda conveys Vishnu only. Idam Shabda again conveys Vishnu. If you take each word, everything is conveying Brahman, referring to Brahman. This is one way of interpretation. If you take the sentence, then I have to go to Tatparya. So therefore, Varna and Pada level, we use Abhidha Vritti. In Vakya level, you cannot use Abhidha Vritti. We can only get Tatparya Vritti. So these are levels, different levels. Okay. In the word level, Abhidha Vritti. In the Shruti Vakya level, it is Tatparya Vritti. It is also conveyed in that sentence.
Thank you.
Yeah. This dependence is, what has been underscored by Madhvas. Like everything else has been dependent on the absolute. And,
Yes.
yeah, even I thought that this is Lakshanika Ardha, but then Mishraji.
It is Tatparya. It is not Lakshanika. It is
Tatparya.
Tatparya.
Yeah. Okay. Any other question? If not, Professor Bhatt, would you like to sum up?
On behalf of all of us, let me congratulate Professor Srinivasa Varakhedi for a brilliant exposition of Madhva's position. Of course, one can agree with Madhva, one can also disagree. Both possibilities are there, but the way Madhva has expounded the Brahma Sutra is really something which is marvelous. And therefore, we offer our sincere thanks to Professor Varakhedi for expounding Madhva's standpoint. Madhva has been very, I should say, short in his exposition, and but brevity is an art, and he is having that particular skill. Of course, Madhva is to be understood through Jayatirtha and Vyasa Tirtha and other interpreters, and it's a living tradition. In fact, all Vedantic traditions are living traditions, in fact, and there is a novelty. Apurvata is there, is one of the Shadlingas. Coming to Shadlingas, I should say that these are rules of linguistic interpretation. And linguistic interpretation need not consist of any difference between Vaidika and Laukika, Shastrika and Laukika. This is what long back in Pashpashanika Patanjali pointed out. And this is what Shabar also pointed out in his Bhashya of Purva Mimamsa. And therefore, the rules which are for the Laukika language should also stand for the Shastrika language. I have one reservation with the statement of Professor Varakhedi. He points out that all the Vedanta Sutras, they don't have Purupaksha. if I have taken him right, well, if there is no Purva-paksha in the Brahma Sutras, then what is the meaning of the Tarkapada, the second chapter of the second adhyaya, where there is Paramata Nirakarana. So, Purva-paksha has to be there.
Sir, shall I clarify? Shall I clarify, sir?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I should not intervene between the presidential remarks, but this is very important, I thought. Here, I did not say that there is no Purva-paksha, but in order to place Purva-paksha, sutra is not used. Purva-pakshas are kept outside sutras. I mean, each sutra is a Siddhanta sutra according to Madhva. So each sutra will only conclusive sutra, and Purva-paksha is out of the question comes and then sutra answers. And if you just consider all our answers, only questions are outside, and sometimes Purva-pakshas are part of sutra, half part of sutra, and the rest of the sutra part is giving answer. This is how arrangement is there. And if you see in Shankara's Adhikarana Rachana, 4 sutras, they are interpreted as Purva-paksha sutras. After that, 2, 3, 4 sutras are Siddhanta Sutrani, Siddhanta Sutra. So this arrangement is not acceptable for Madhva. This is what I said. Otherwise, Purva-pakshas are there.
Purva-pakshas are there. For example, in Sri Bhashya, we have a Lagu Purva-paksha and Dirgha Purva-paksha, and very subtle argumentation is there undertaken by Ramanuja. Anyway, it's a good point which you refer to. That means every sutra consists of every adhikarana consists of one or more than one sutras, and there has to be cohesion among them, and therefore a part of the adhikarana should not be taken to be Purva-paksha and the other is a Siddhanta. But in fact, this is not the case. If you study minutely with judicious discrimination, you do find this sort of difference between Purva-paksha and Siddhanta-paksha. Other acharyas have relied upon this distinction. About Madhva, as you pointed out, he rejects it. But what is the solid ground for that? That has to be taken into. Anyway,
sir, if you give me another chance to defend the Shankaracharya, then on that day I'll defend Shankaracharya and Madhva. I'm given this side. I mean, Madhvacharya said, therefore I have taken this stand. Otherwise, also I will definitely defend Shankaracharya also independently, completely.
See, in philosophizing, there are alternative approaches. And for one standpoint, other standpoints might be Purva-pakshas. That's what the famous saying is, which I refer to, Vade Vade Jayate Tattva Bodha implies. Anyway, in a healthy mode of philosophizing, well, there has to be synthetic unity among the sutras, and this is what I believe Madhva points out. Anyway, it was a very, I should say, brilliant exposition, and Madhva has been a logician and a dialectician. And say the dialectics of Madhva is expounded in, say, for example, Tarkatandava, and in other texts, they are really brilliant pieces of human intellect, and therefore you have therefore a different system of logic initiated by Madhva, and it needs to be properly understood. Generally, we are only following the Western mode of doing logic and neglecting our own Indian mode of doing logic. And I think that is the contribution of Madhva to my mind. Thank you. we are thankful to Sri Kala Nair also for organizing this, I should say, very webinar of high quality, because it has shed light on a particular Vedantic shade, and most of us are not aware of that. So we are really benefited by this, and we have different shades of Vedanta. Even now, in contemporary times, also we have different shades of Vedanta, and I think that will continue in future as well. Indian philosophizing is like a flowing river, and there has to be innovative ventures, and Madhva has shown us the way for this sort of innovation. So we are really benefited by this webinar, and I think it's a time that now we may close it with gratitude to Professor Varakhedi. Thank you very much.
Professor Padhi, would you like to say something?
Pardon?
Professor Padhi?
I just,
yeah,
Srikalaji, I just request you, I mean, wonderful, the conversation between Professor Bhatt and Professor Varakhedi along with Professor Misra. It was, they are so eloquent and real great scholars of our country. And thank you, Professor Srikalaji, for organizing such lectures. I missed the initial lectures, but I had the opportunity today to go through the lecture today. I also request you to request Professor Varakhedi to give one more lecture.
Sure. We will explore him further.
It is
Only
wonderful.
thing is that he is too busy with his
It is
academic administration. Let us squeeze out some time.
It is always wonderful to listen to
Hindutva is
Varakhedi.
also been bristling,
Yeah.
along with Nirupatva, as I have said.
Now we can listen to him hours after hour, but because of his administrative responsibilities, he may not be able to give time to us. But I'm so happy. Thank you very much for.
Thank you, Professor Pathi. We'll keep you informed about our further programs.
Thank you, Professor Varakhedi, for illuminating us. Thank you.
Before we close, Professor
Thank you, sir.
Varakhedi, I would like to remind you about one of our old dreams of organizing a seminar on the Madhusudana Saraswati Vyasatirtha debate. If you remember, we wanted to organize a seminar. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yes, I recall.
So
now I think we should go on, or any program you want to organize. Definitely, we will take it up. We will support and we will take it up.
So, as I suggest, ISSS and Central University of Sanskrit could jointly organize this. It would be a great and benefiting debate on all these scholars. It is post Shankara Advaita Vedanta, and the debate between Advaita and Dvaita would be wonderful, and I think we need to do it. Don't you think so?
Yeah, Advaita Siddhi has a Nyaya Sudha as its Purupaksha. So we have to be well steeped in both the texts, Nyaya Sudha and also Advaita Siddhi.
Yeah.
And in Advaita Siddhi in particular, we have 5 different definitions of Maya or Avidya. So that is very interesting.
So we'll do that, Professor Varakhedi, at some point of time when time permits.
Yes, definitely. Nyaya and Advaita Siddhi, they are very good foundations of dialectic of Advaita and Dvaita. Definitely interesting points are there, and we will bring great scholars like Mani Shastrigal, and on Dvaita side we can bring Praladachar, and I'll be there. I'll stand as communicator. So then we can
you will be an academic as well. We want to hear the academic Professor Varakhedi. That's the peak. Professor Bhatt will also speak. Let us all listen to each other, and as he has said. Now over to the computer, and let us wind up by inviting Professor Sangamesh to deliver.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And the interactive session was wonderful. Thank you to all who have participated in today's discussion. Finally, I invite Dr. K.M. Sankameshan, Assistant Director, International School for Sri Shankara Studies, to deliver a vote of thanks.
समादरणीयाः पण्डितवरेण्याः प्रियमित्राणि. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Go ahead.
Okay. समादरणीयाः पण्डितवरेण्याः प्रियमित्राणि, सर्वेभ्यो मम सविनयप्रणामः. महान् सन्तोषः श्रीशङ्कर स्टडीस् सर्कल् द्वारा आयोजितः अयं कार्यक्रमः सफलतां प्राप्तः इति. वेदान्तसूत्राणि आश्रित्य, विशिष्य तत्त्वसमन्वयादि इति सूत्रम् आश्रित्य महान् विचारः अत्र प्रवृत्तः. श्रीनिवास वर्केडि महोदयाः द्वैतमतानुसारम् अस्य सूत्रस्य समीचीनं व्याख्यानं दत्तवन्तः. बहुकार्यव्यापृताः अपि अस्माकम् आमन्त्रणम् अङ्गीकृत्य अत्र आगत्य सुमनोहरं भाषणं कृतवन्तः एते महोदयाः. श्रीशङ्करपठनमण्डलस्य नाम्नि श्रीनिवास वर्केडि महोदयेभ्यः हृदयपूर्णं कार्तज्ञं व्याहरामि. आचार्याः धन्यवादाः. SR भट् महोदयाः अस्मिन् कार्यक्रमे अध्यक्षपदम् अलङ्कृतवन्तः. समुचितम् आमुखभाषणम् उपसंहारभाषणं च कृतवन्तः. SR भट् महोदयेभ्यः अकैतवं कार्तज्ञं व्याहरामि. धन्यवादः. श्रीनिवासाचार्य सच्चिदानन्दमिश्रा सदृशैः विद्वद्वरेण्यैः अयं कार्यक्रमः स्वभागभागित्वेन स्वविचारैः च परम् अनुगृहीतः. तेभ्यः सर्वेभ्यः निर्व्याजां कृतज्ञतां प्रकाशयामि. श्रीकला महाभागाः अस्य श्रीशङ्करपठनमण्डलस्य निदेशिका सर्वदा अस्माकम् अग्रेसराः वर्तन्ते. अत्रापि चर्चायाम् अग्रेसराः आसन्. ताभ्यः अपि धन्यवादं व्याहरामि. अस्मिन् कार्यक्रमे भागं स्वीकृतेभ्यः सर्वेभ्यः पण्डितेभ्यः मित्रेभ्यश्च हार्दं धन्यवादं प्रकाशयामि. धन्यवादः. विरमित्यं जयः.
Thank you all. And we will meet for the next month's study circle. Do join us for the next study circle.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor Bhatt.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Pranam, sir.
Pranam. Thank you, Professor Bhatt. Thank you.